Hello and welcome to IH Talks. I'm Christopher Walker from IH Bielsko-Biała, and today we are talking about becoming a language coach with our wonderful guest, Coach Verdell.
Hello. Thank you for having me on today's talk, Chris. I'm very happy to be here. Um, as Chris mentioned, my name is Coach Verdell. I'm from Emerging English Coaching, or EEC, an online English coaching servicer.
Fantastic. So, Verdell, tell me why you think we should be talking about language coaching.
I think that the language coaching needs to be done because it is a trend. Everyone
Mhm.
is calling themselves a coach,
Yeah.
coach this and coach that. And so identifying clearly what a coach is, I think, is necessary. You know, the term coaching and teaching are not synonymous, though there's some overlap, but there's a clear difference between the two. So I think that conversation is needed.
I suppose for a lot of people, when they hear the word coach, the first thing they have in mind would be, I don't know, like Coach Beard from Ted Lasso, somebody who's involved in sports. Is
Yeah.
there any kind of overlap between the idea of being a language coach and the idea of the sort of coaches you get in sports, or is it a completely different ball game?
There's definitely some overlap because I mean a coach creates a game plan, right?
Hmm.
For the players to run out, and the coach has to provide strategies. They're drilling them, they're training them, they're motivating them. Um yeah, so there's definitely some overlap between sports coaching as well as language coaching.
Hmm. That's really interesting. So, how does somebody become a language coach?
Well, it's first starts off with knowing how to use the language that you want to coach the person in. You don't have to be a native of that language, but you need to know how to speak the language at a proficient level. Coaching is not suitable for it's not suitable for beginners. Okay, so let me qualify that. When I say beginners, I mean fresh teachers. I don't
Hmm.
think would be suitable to start off and launch themselves as a coach because there are some foundational things that are needed. So, basic teacher training and at least a year or two of teaching experience, I think, is a good foundation to become a language coach.
Hmm.
So, that will be the first thing. And the second would be just your desire to like not being afraid to launch yourself out there and get yourself involved with being being active and transforming a person's experience with language, not just
Hmm.
teaching them from a syllabus and rudimentary like expressions and terms, but diving into the language at a deeper level so that in a holistic way people can be transformed by this language.
Oh, I see.
So I think
Wow.
that's needed.
That's very empowering by the sounds of it.
Yes, and it changes the student or the client as well as the
Hmm.
coach. So I think that a person who is a language coach needs to be invested. Like you're invested in your client and your student, and they're invested in you. There's a relationship. There's no like, oh, random person, but there's an actual connection and a transformative process that happens. Um, yeah, with a
So
coach.
I imagine then from what you've said, this investment that you have, the energy that the coach has to put into the relationship. Here we're looking at in terms of establishing a client base as a language coach. You're going to be going over the quality of the experience rather than the quantity of clients that perhaps a more traditional teacher might be looking for.
Yes. So, some teachers, if you're talking about like in-person brick and mortar teachers versus online teachers, you online teachers, you want to get your hours in, make your money, and
Mhm.
buy peace,
Yeah.
you're gone. And so for the brick and mortar teacher, they may have more of a passion for like wanting to influence a student's, life, but then they're working for a school and there's still numbers you have to hit with that. There's still, a turnover rate and things you have to meet with that. When it comes to coaching, I think it can be a little bit of both and. Like you want to make money, Yes. um, but you want quality because, if I have 3 students, but they're each paying me like $1,000 a month to coach them or
Hmm.
something, um, it's a quality experience versus having 20 or whatever so students, and I'm making that same amount as those 3 students that I have for my coaching sessions. So the coach is a little bit more, what's the word? A little bit more picky
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
who they work with. Um, in my opinion, a coach should be. A coach should
Oh, of
not
course.
take on every person. Everyone can't make the team.
Well, yeah, you're right, but it's also a matter of that. What you're trying to do is to make somebody a bit more responsible for their own learning. And
Yes.
it has to be said, a lot of the students that come to language teachers and to language schools don't have a very fixed idea of what it is they want to achieve with their learning. They've heard that learning English is a good idea, but they don't know perhaps exactly why they're going to learn English or what it is they want to learn specifically. So this is all part of the filtering process, I suppose, that's
It
so important in
is.
coaching.
Yes. Do you filter through what the client or the student's goals are? And it's usually specific. And the student or the client, however you like to refer to them, has a certain level, at least at an intermediate level, at least a B1 level of
Yeah.
English. It can't be a true beginner. You can't necessarily coach a true beginner, especially if you don't speak their language. And
Hmm.
so the student comes with ambition and motivation, and they're ready to, and they trust you. They tell you the needs, and you create the plan based off of your understanding of language acquisition, based off of your understanding of the issues they may have from their native language and getting to the level they need to get.
Hmm.
Um, create this game plan and you guide them through it, but then you also let go of the reins. You're not spoon feeding. You're
Of
not,
course. Yes.
doing these things that sometimes we have to do in the classroom, as teachers. Um,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Well, so if I can summarize then, the idea of being a language coach is that in essence you're trying to establish a closer relationship with the client for one thing, but also you're helping them to plan their own studies and become more autonomous so that what they're able to achieve will be much greater than a kind of a vanilla sort of approach where everything goes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, wow, a lot to think about there, Verdell. Thank you
Mm.
so much for your time today. And
Thank you
this
for having me.
this brings to an end our IH talk for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.